They said her coming was a miracle, but on Virelia, miracles always begin with screams. The first sign was light, a column of it cutting through the ash storms above the shattered cathedral. The people ran toward it, thinking salvation had come, but the light didn't warm, it burned. When it faded, only one figure stood where the altar had been. A woman, barefoot, skin the color of marble dust. Eyes gone, sealed by flesh as if they'd never been there. She did not speak, she only smiled. For 3 days she stood without food, without rest, surrounded by corpses turned toward her like worshippers. When the ecclesiarchy arrived, her body glowed faintly, a pulse of light beneath her skin, keeping time with the beating of the planet itself. They called her Saint Lysandra. They said she was proof the emperor still loved humanity. But those who touched her hand said something different. They said they heard whispering, soft and endless, a voice that spoke behind her smile. And when night came, they dreamed of a mouth that opened in the dark, and something inside whispering, "Look at me." They sent the Inquisitor when the second miracle happened. Virelia's sky had been crimson for 3 days. The ash storms had stopped. The air was unnaturally still, like the world itself was holding its breath. On the morning of the 4th day, Inquisitor Kael Vorn arrived aboard the frigate Sanctum Vex. His ship descended through the dying light, its shadow falling across the ruins of St. Lysandra's cathedral. The people below dropped to their knees as the engines thundered overhead, not out of reverence, but fear. Because by then they had learned that light no longer meant safety on this world. Kael stepped from the landing ramp without a word. His armor was black and scarred, marked with the sigil of the Inquisition burned into the chestplate. One bionic eye glowed faint blue as it scanned the silent crowd. "No hymns," he said quietly to the attending priest. The man trembled. We no longer sing, my lord, not since the saint began to dream." Kael paused. "She dreams." "Every night," he whispered, "and when she does, the dead remember their names." The Inquisitor entered the cathedral ruins at dusk. The air smelled of incense and rot. Melted candles lined the shattered steps leading to the altar, and there, kneeling in a pool of dried blood, was the saint. She did not move. Her head tilted slightly, as if listening to something far away. Her lips twitched with each breath, forming silent words. Around her lay hundreds of votive offerings, rings, teeth, bones, melted trinkets, all pulsing faintly with inner light. Kael approached slowly, every step echoing like a heartbeat. "Saint Lysandra." No response. He knelt, studying her face. Her skin was flawless, almost translucent. Beneath it, veins shimmered faintly, like threads of liquid gold. "Do you know who I am?" The saint's head turned toward him. Her mouth opened, not wide, but enough to let out a breath that wasn't air. It sounded like many voices whispering at once. It said, "We see you." Kael recoiled, hand reaching instinctively for his bolt pistol. But the saint smiled. Her sealed eyelids fluttered as if something moved beneath them. "The Emperor watches through me," she whispered. "He shows me what you hide." That night, Kael ordered the area sealed. He burned the first group of pilgrims who tried to approach, calling them tainted by warp influence. But when they burned, their screams merged into a single, unbroken tone, the same sound the saint had made. The priests begged him to leave. They said the saint's miracles were proof of divine grace. Kael only watched them in silence, his bionic eye flickering as if it struggled to keep focus. Later, alone in his quarters, Kael reviewed his data recordings. Every image of the saint, every frame, was perfect except for one detail. Whenever she smiled, the machinery in his eye glitched, showing another face superimposed on hers. A face with a mouth that opened too wide, whispering behind her skin. Before dawn, Kael awoke to a soft sound at his door. Gentle knocking, rhythmic, patient. He drew his weapon and opened it. No one stood there. Only a trail of blood drops leading down the corridor, glowing faintly gold in the dark. And from far within the cathedral, he heard her voice again, not speaking, praying. But this time, the words weren't in High Gothic. They weren't human at all.
Something's wrong with the air tonight. The storms have stopped again. No wind, no ash, no movement at all. Even the flies are gone. It's like the world's holding its breath. The Inquisitor hasn't slept in 2 days. His men are burning the faithful who keep gathering near the cathedral gates, but they keep coming, hundreds of them, crawling through the dust with candles and blindfolds over their eyes. They say the saint called them in their dreams. They say she promised them sight beyond flesh. Emperor, help us, they believe her. The Inquisitor ordered us to hold position while he and the Ecclesiarch entered the cathedral. I posted my squad on overwatch. That's when the singing started. Not chanting, not hymns. It sounded like hundreds of voices whispering through the walls, all in perfect rhythm. The ground started pulsing, not shaking, pulsing, like a heartbeat beneath our boots. Then the light came. Pale gold bleeding out from the cracks in the cathedral stones. The pilgrims outside dropped to their knees, hands raised, eyes bleeding through their blindfolds. Some started laughing, others tearing at their faces. I gave the order to open fire. Las rounds hit. Didn't matter. They didn't even fall. They melted, skin running like wax, bones reshaping. Their mouths stretched open too far, too wide, glowing from the inside. And from their throats came the same sound I'd heard in my dreams. A whisper. Look at me. The cathedral doors opened. The Inquisitor stumbled out, armor scorched, half his face bleeding machine oil. He was dragging the Ecclesiarch, or what was left of him. The saint followed them, still smiling, her sealed eyes twitching under the skin, like something moving behind them. Her body glowed brighter than before, veins burning gold. She raised her hand, not in anger, but in blessing. The nearest trooper screamed as his armor fused into his flesh. He reached for me, mouth open, light pouring out. Then he turned to dust. The Inquisitor fired his bolt pistol straight into her chest. The round hit. She staggered. Then she laughed. 100 voices laughing inside one throat. The sound tore through the air, shaking the cathedral apart. When I could see again, the Inquisitor was gone, and the saint was kneeling in the crater where he'd stood, whispering something into the dirt, as if teaching it to breathe. All communications down. Hive shrines across the planet now glowing. Pilgrims moving toward the saint like sleepwalkers. She's building something. Every death feeds it. Every prayer makes it grow. We were told faith is our shield. But faith here is the weapon, and it's not the Emperor holding it anymore. I don't know who will find this log. Maybe no one. Maybe no one's left. The Inquisitor is dead. Virelia is gone. But the Saint, she's still speaking, and the warp is listening. It started 3 nights ago. We thought the Saint's influence was local, that whatever she'd become was bound to this cursed planet. Then the astropaths started screaming. One by one, their bodies locked in seizure, eyes rolled back, blood running in thin golden lines from their ears. Every transmitter on base activated on its own. No signals, no words, only a pulse, 2 seconds apart, like a heartbeat. The Vox technicians tried cutting power. Didn't matter. The machines kept running. When they checked the source, the signal wasn't coming from anywhere. It was coming through everything. We pulled what was left of the astropath choir from their chambers. Most were dead. The ones still breathing were whispering the same thing. He hears her now. The Inquisitor ordered their execution before he died. But when we tried, the air turned cold, like all sound had been sucked out of it. The astropaths opened their mouths in silence, and the Vox channels filled with her voice again. Look at me. Some of the men dropped their weapons, crying. Others turned the barrels on themselves. I wanted to run, but there's nowhere to run from a voice that speaks inside your skull. We received a transmission from orbit. The Sanctum Vex reported receiving similar pulses across their Gellerfield relays. Then the ship's choir. Emperor. They fused into the bulkhead, flesh and metal, one thing. Their faces stretched across the Vox emitters like wax. The message repeated through the bridge speakers. She stands beneath the throne. That's when we knew. The Saint wasn't speaking to us anymore. She was speaking upward, toward Terra. I've seen what faith can do to men. It keeps them alive when logic says they're finished. But here, it's something else. The pilgrims don't die. We burned hundreds, and every night more return, walking out of the ash fields, skin smooth, eyes sealed shut. They hum that same rhythm. Some carry weapons, others bones turned into icons. They don't speak, they don't bleed. They listen. We've lost contact with Segmentum Command. Reports from orbit before the silence said entire astropath networks are falling offline. The Emperor's light, the Astronomicon, flickered. Just for a moment. But long enough for every navigator in the fleet to lose direction. Ships screaming through the warp like blind animals. One of them, a patrol frigate, re-emerged over Virelia yesterday. No crew, no life signs. But every wall inside that ship was covered in writing. The same line, over and over. We see you. I made it to the surface outpost east of the cathedral ruins. The Saint stands there now, surrounded by thousands. The light from her body pulses through the sky like a beacon. I think she's trying to reach Terra through the warp. I think the Emperor can hear her, or whatever's left of him. If you're hearing this, stay away from Virelia. Don't answer the signal. Don't pray. The warp feeds on thought, on faith. Every whisper, every prayer gives her shape, and she's learning faster than we can burn her. I can see her from here. She's looking at the sky now. The light behind her eyelids is growing brighter. Too bright. The ground's shaking again. Emperor, forgive me. She's opening her eyes.
I don't remember starting this log. I think the Vox began on its own. Maybe it wants someone to hear. The Saint's light covers half the sky now. Not dawn, not fire, something else. The color's wrong. Looks like gold from a distance, but when it hits the skin, it leaves frost burns. My squad's down to 3 men. Harlan went blind yesterday. He kept saying he could see through stone, that the world was transparent and something enormous was moving beneath it. He walked into the light. Didn't even scream. Turned into ash and drifted upward. Upward like everything else. Command is gone. Vox traffic's only echoes now. Our own voices coming back seconds late, answering questions we haven't asked yet. The Saint's beacon keeps pulsing. 2-second rhythm. It's in my head. Same as the others. Every heartbeat syncing with it. If I try to resist, my vision goes white. The Medicae says it's radiation. I know better. I've seen warp storms before. They twist ships, not people. This light is twisting time. Heard thunder from orbit. Looked up. Saw ships breaking apart. Silent. No explosions, no debris, just unraveling. Hulls peeling like wet paper. Something inside the light pulling them apart molecule by molecule. The Saint still kneeling at the center of the crater. She doesn't move anymore. The ground around her hums. If you stand close, you can feel it crawling through your boots like static under your skin. Harkin tried to shoot her again. The bolt hung in the air, stopped mid-flight, then drifted back toward him, went straight through his visor. No blood, only dust. The pilgrims are changing faster. Their mouths sealed, they breathe through their skin, glowing veins across their faces. They line the ridge, facing the Saint, heads tilted as if listening to orders. I think they are orders. The sound now isn't one voice anymore. It's a choir, not human, not daemon, something between. Feels mechanical, like gears grinding in harmony. The pulse in the air has synced with my Vox recorder. I can see the levels rising every time the light flashes. The skies opened, literally. Clouds didn't part, they folded. Behind them, not stars, not void, just one vast surface of light and movement. Looks like an eye, but too large, too close, too alive. Everyone who sees it drops their weapon. Some laugh, some cry, some start praying to it. I don't. I can't. My voice doesn't work anymore. The pulse has entered the ground. I can feel it through my bones. It's like the planet itself is breathing with her. I keep hearing the Inquisitor's voice on the Vox, but he's dead. I saw him burn. Still, he keeps saying the same phrase, over and over. Containment has failed. The eye is looking. The words loop until the next pulse hits, then silence. I tried to destroy the recorder. The light won't let me. Every time I pull the charge, the device repairs itself, like it wants this moment remembered. The Saint's body is lifting from the crater. Not rising, unfolding. Skin like glass, ribs spreading into wings made of light. Behind her, the horizon bends. My 2 surviving troopers drop to their knees.
They're whispering in perfect unison, the same words over and over. We see you. The lights at the camp now. Every reflection shows her face instead of mine. I can't feel my hands. The Vox is humming the heartbeat again, closer, louder. I think she's not opening her eyes to see. She's opening them so we can. If anyone finds this recording, don't answer any signal from Virelia. Don't listen to the hymns. Don't pray. The eye is awake, and it's looking through us. I don't know how long it's been since we lost contact with command. The sun hasn't moved in 2 days, maybe 3, maybe more. The air feels heavy, like breathing through wet cloth. The sky has turned the color of bone ash, pale, glowing, and wrong. There's a sound underneath everything now. Not thunder, not wind. It's a heartbeat. 2 seconds apart, always 2. We tried to march east toward the cathedral ruins. Vox is dead. Auspex won't read past 50 meters. Private Lauren keeps muttering that the light has a direction, that if you close your eyes, you can feel it pulling. At night, if it is night, we see shapes moving inside the glow. Not men, not daemons either. Something slower, watching, waiting. Yesterday we found one of the sisters' transports half buried in dust. No bodies, but the metal was warm to the touch, like it had blood inside it. Someone carved a single word on the side. Awakened. Sergeant tried to vox back to base, static only, but the static started whispering. It said my name, over and over. When I told him, he said I was cracking. He didn't hear it. He doesn't hear anything anymore. He hasn't blinked since morning. We found a shrine made from helmets, imperial ones, arranged in a circle. In the center was a melted candle, still burning even without flame. The light came from inside the wax, pulsing in that same rhythm. 2 seconds. Always 2. Corporal Dane said we should destroy it. Before he moved, the ground opened under him like soft skin. He didn't fall into it. The ground folded around him, swallowing him whole. He didn't scream. He just looked up and smiled. When it closed, the heartbeat grew louder. We've stopped counting the dead. They don't stay dead anyway. The last one we buried, the one who slit his wrists from the whispers, came back this morning. He was standing on the ridge, eyes gone, skin glowing faintly. He didn't move, didn't breathe. He only raised a hand, slow, deliberate, and pointed toward the cathedral. We saw the light again there. A column reaching into the sky. Inside it, something moved. Not a person, not a god. Something remembering what those words used to mean. It's inside the ground now, the stones breathing. Every wall's got veins. The air hums when you speak his name. I don't think it's Virelia anymore. I don't think it ever was. The saint's still there. I can see her shape in the light, but she's bigger now. Her body isn't human. It's the cathedral. She's not praying to him anymore. She's teaching us how to listen. I expected ruin. I found silence. Our frigate, Eternus Judicium, translated from the warp into a graveyard of light. The Virelia system should have held 5 worlds. Now it's a sphere of pale radiance. Sensors return nothing solid, only echoes, like Auspex readings reflected from a living surface. I deployed with 6 acolytes and a squad of Skitari. None of them speak now. The void station orbiting Virelia Prime was still intact when we docked. Inside, the walls sweated light. Cables throbbed as if filled with blood. Every lumen flickered in the same rhythm, 2 seconds apart. The same pulse the guard reports mentioned. I ordered a sample cut from the deck plating. The tech priest froze. He said the metal breathed when he touched it. I looked closer and saw condensation forming on the steel in time with my own heartbeat. We left the sample behind. We reached the planet via drop pod. From orbit, the surface looked like marble veined with gold. On descent, we realized the gold was movement, rivers of molten faith flowing toward a single point, the coordinates of the old cathedral. Our landing zone was ash. The air shimmered, heavy with ionic charge. My Voxlink carried the whisper I couldn't localize. A voice repeating, "You wanted proof." We advanced in formation. No wind, no birds. Only the pulse beneath our boots, like walking across the chest of something enormous. Sergeant Wren tried to mark our position with a flare. The flare hung in mid-air, suspended, the smoke curling backward. Time itself stuttered for a breath. Then the flare dissolved, not burned, not snuffed, forgotten. I noted the event. The others stared at me like children at the edge of a grave. At the cathedral gates, the light was strongest. The stone had turned translucent. Shadows moved inside it, silhouettes of kneeling figures. Their mouths opened and closed in silence, as if waiting for a command. One of them turned its head, the shape of a woman, and pressed her face to the glass from the inside. No eyes, only smooth skin and a faint smile. The pulse quickened. My acolyte Veren began to chant, not the litany of purity, something older, something that made the lumen strips dim with every syllable. I ordered him to stop. He didn't hear me. He said, "She's awake now. She's listening." We are setting camp outside the cathedral perimeter. The light intensifies each hour. All chronometers have synchronized to the pulse. Standard time is meaningless. If this is the saint they proclaimed, she no longer serves the throne. She serves something that learned to wear faith like a mask. Tomorrow, we enter the cathedral.
The storm above Virelia had no wind. Light shimmered like liquid glass, pouring down the broken spires and across the plain where the Eternus Judicium's landing craft rested, half melted. Inquisitor Kael Vorn stepped forward first, cloak dragging through pale dust that pulsed beneath his boots. The cathedral waited ahead, its doors fused into a single sheet of translucent stone. Through it, faint shadows moved, hundreds of them, kneeling in unison. Each shape bowed and lifted its head at the same rhythm that had haunted every machine since arrival. 2 seconds. Always 2. The Skitari opened a breach with melta charges. The stone didn't shatter. It peeled inward, folding away like the skin of fruit. No smoke, no flame, only the slow hiss of something waking. Inside, the air was wet and warm. Sound died after a few meters, swallowed by the walls.
Where marble had once stood, veins of amber light ran through living rock, pulsing gently, illuminating hundreds of statues, priests, guardsmen, pilgrims, all half melted into the structure, their faces serene, their eyes sealed. Vorn touched one with the muzzle of his bolt pistol. The statue exhaled. A faint sigh. He stepped back. The team advanced in formation, auspexes scanning, their readings sliding between biological and mineral signatures. No clear data, only the pulse. They reached the nave. The altar was gone. In its place stood a column of translucent flesh, rising to the vaults like a root system of light. Inside it, shapes turned, slow, graceful, human outlines merging and separating. The glow cast silhouettes of faces that never held still. "Motion at center mass," reported Magos Reth, his voice cracked through Vox distortion. Then the light flared. The entire cathedral drew a single audible breath. The walls expanded, and for a heartbeat, the team could see the pattern of veins stretch across the surface, like a map of an immense organism. Vorn shouted an order, but no sound came. The air thickened, absorbing every word. Even gunfire died in silence. Bolts detonated without echo. Something moved within the column. A figure, small at first, then rising, arms out, palms open. Her body was glass and light. Her mouth moved in prayer, though the words existed only inside their minds. They felt her voice before they heard it. "You came to end me," it said, "but I was never begun." Vorn dropped to one knee as his armor seals overloaded with static. The pulse accelerated. 2 seconds became 1. The light flickered through faces, Varen, the tech priest, the fallen guardsman, each reflected in her surface like memories replayed. Behind her, the cathedral ceiling unfolded into darkness. Not stone, not sky. A void filled with faint red constellations shaped like eyes. One opened. Every lumen died. Only the pulse remained. Then a whisper. "Faith is the shape you leave behind when you stop believing." The light returned, soft, golden, trembling. The figure of the saint still stood in the column, eyes sealed, smiling faintly. The team's weapons hung useless at their sides. Vorn raised his recorder, voice steady but hollow. Recording continued. Subject retains humanoid form, manifesting warp resonance beyond measurable scale. Reality anchor compromised, proceeding deeper. He looked up. The saint's face tilted toward him, as if recognizing its observer. "Come see," she said. "The Emperor's silence is not absence. It is space for something new." And the cathedral doors closed behind them, silent, absolute.
The stairway spiraled down behind the altar, cut from living stone. Each step glowed faintly under their boots, reacting to pressure like flesh remembering pain. No wind, no dust. Only the sound of their breathing, falling in rhythm with the planetary pulse. 2 seconds. Always 2. Vorn's auspex flickered, alternating between organic tissue and hollow void. He marked it down without speaking. Descent continues. Architecture non-Euclidean. Angles drift. Cathedral extends beyond known planetary crust. Acolyte Varen. Sir, Vox ghosts repeating entry orders from orbit. Vorn.
Ignore them. Nothing above us anymore. Static bursts, like bones snapping underwater. The stair opened into a chamber wider than any manufactorum. Pillars of translucent material hung from the ceiling like inverted organs. Inside each pillar, silhouettes of humans suspended mid-prayer, mouths open, throats vibrating. No sound escaped, but the light pulsed through them in waves, each body a note in a silent symphony. Skitarii sensors spiked. The frequency matched the planetary heartbeat. Magus Reth. They are resonators, biocyanic conduits. The planet sings through them. Vorn. A choir without air. Reth. Correction, without choice. Metal creaked. One of the pillars bent toward the team like a curious serpent. A thin film of fluid ran along the floor, reflecting their faces upside down. The reflections didn't match. Where Vorn stood alone, the mirror showed him surrounded by hundreds of kneeling forms. All wore the same seal of the Inquisition on their armor. All headless. He stepped back. The reflection smiled where his face should have been. Varen, she's below, sir. Calling. The light says our names in perfect rhythm. Vorn, you hear her? Varen, no, sir. I remember her voice before she speaks. Gunfire followed. 3 seconds of chaos. Feed corruption begins. When image stabilized, only Vorn and 2 Skitarii remained. The chamber walls were moving, slow breathing contractions dragging the pillars deeper. The suspended bodies disappeared one by one into the floor, their glow joining a single vein of light leading to a fissure ahead. Vorn followed. Recording continuity. Following primary conduit. Target presence confirmed. If I fail to transmit, this will stand as proof that faith can be weaponized by the void itself. A saint said once the Emperor's silence was mercy. I'm beginning to think it was fear. A vast hollow, spherical and alive. At its core, an immense heart of glass beating against the rhythm of the universe. Around it floated thousands of figures, guardsmen, priests, tech adepts, all blind, all singing without sound. Every pulse sent ripples through space-time, each echo distorting the view of stars above. The light dimmed. A single voice emerged inside the static. The choir is ready, Kael Vorn. One more voice completes the song. Feed ends. Signal loop resumes, 2 seconds apart. The recordings ended at a depth that should not have existed. No signal, no terrain, no measurable matter, only an echo of Vorn's heartbeat repeating through the void. An Imperial recovery frigate, Vigilant Oath, arrived 6 months later. There was no planet, only light. The coordinates of Virelia had become a single point of golden radiance in open space, an orbit without a sun, a gravity well without mass. When Auspex arrays focused on it, data feedback formed a whisper. A human voice, female, repeating one sentence. Faith is the memory of what you used to fear. Mission log extract, Magus Reth's successor, iteration clone 04. All attempts to triangulate signal origin fail. The light consumes measurement. No debris, no trace of Inquisitor Kael Vorn or personnel. Warp readings flatline within the anomaly. Complete psychic silence. A pause in the transcript, then one final line written by hand. It looks back when you look too long. Across nearby sectors, Astrocathic choirs began reporting identical dreams. Each described a cathedral of glass rising between the stars, its bells tolling once every 2 seconds. Some called it a vision of ascension. Others stopped speaking altogether. Within a year, 3 shrine worlds fell silent. Pilgrims reported seeing a figure of light walking through their dreams, leaving footprints that glowed. Everywhere the light touched, machines began to breathe. Transmission recovered, unknown source, segmentum obscurus edge. Static resolves into a faint voice, a man's voice, tired, calm. This is Kael Vorn. The choir is complete. The saint showed me the truth. The emperor never left us. We left him to become something he feared. When you hear the pulse, don't answer. If you answer, you become part of the song. Signal fades. Heartbeat continues. 2 seconds apart. In the cold space where Virelia once turned, the light grows. No ships returned. No prayers reach through. But sometimes, when Imperial Vox channels drift too close to that sector, they catch a whisper. Soft, rhythmic, familiar. Come see. The signal spreads. World to world. System to system. And somewhere in the quiet between the stars, the saint smiles, sightless, eternal. Her voice carried not by breath, but by the heartbeat of the galaxy itself.